Yes, yes, I'm late this morning. Uh, this is the day after the Super Bowl. I guess officially it's National Hangover Day. Okay, according to the national calendar. Uh, I didn't watch the Super Bowl. Sorry. Yesterday we had our sort of Super Bowl oracular domino pick to see which coach would be happy and which team would win. And I gave you what dominoes I picked for it. But to tell you the truth, I care so little about the Super Bowl that I don't actually remember which which team we picked. And perhaps if you watched yesterday's show, you can make some kind of sense about the oracle that we got concerning the Super Bowl yesterday. And feel free to add it on your comments here, either on YouTube or my Facebook page. Anyway, as you can see, this morning it is so cold here that when I walked for coffee, I bought one of their Temple Coffee stocking caps. So I know I look a little weird this morning, but what am I saying? I look a little weird every morning, but I'm giving it a try here because it feels pretty good. Now you probably hear a humming going on because I've got a little space heater here keeping my legs warm, but I'm going to turn that off so we can talk serious talk here. Uh, Constance and I getting ready for a Monday night magic class tonight, uh, which should be pretty interesting if you're planning on coming. We're going to talk about something that is rarely talked about, and that's Crowley's first dipping his feet, if you will, into the Enochian aethers. And this Aether 1 and 2, or excuse me, 30 and 29, the first ones he did in Mexico. Okay. This wasn't the Victor Newberg kind of thing. It was in Mexico before the Book of the Law was written, everything else. So his visions are kind of a unique style, if you will. They do sort of announce the forthcoming change of aeons and everything else. But anyway, it's an interesting thing, and Constance had some wonderful comments when she writes or reads stuff she writes in the margins, and then checks Crowley's notes afterwards, and, and it's really nice. And so she's going to read that tonight. Anyway, part of what we were just talking about is a discussion about the ultimate singularity of existence that everybody sort of tries to lump up into the single word God. Okay, the singularity, the big one, whatever it is. But we end up, when we start talking about it, we talk about it as if it was four. Okay, and everybody's got the Holy Trinity too, but the Holy Trinity is so almost off base to be able to intelligently talk about it because the intellect can't grasp it. So three is almost as hard to talk about as one, but what we can talk about is a four. And in the Chicken Kabbalah, the rabbi touches on that in the chapter called Let's Learn Chicken Kabbalah. And I wrote it, Rabbi Ben Clifford wrote it as an esoteric documentary. So it's like in a sketch, like in a TV sketch or something. And I know I've shared it with you multiple times over the last 3 or 4 years I've been doing this, but I'm going to call it up one more time to remind us why we spend so much time talking about the four elements, the four directions, the four parts of the soul, the four Kabbalistic worlds. And here it is, part one, the four Kabbalistic worlds. And it's a sketch, like a TV sketch, called the Kabbalistic Elevator. And the location is a parking lot of a 4-story office building. And the rabbi says, this building is the universe, not only the physical universe, which we perceive with its awkward limitations of time and space, but the whole ball of wax, the totality of every dimension, energy, and aspect of consciousness. Kabbalists tell us that each of us is a miniature version of this totality. All that ever was, is, and shall be is right in there and in here. This Supreme One is too profoundly simple for our poor minds to contemplate. Or as I always say, your meat brain can't comprehend. In order for us even to begin to speculate on the nature of this one, we're forced to hypothetically divide it up and consider it in various parts. If we divide it into 2 parts, we can consider it in terms of dualities. Darkness, light, male, female, on, off, hot, cold, you get the picture. If we divide it into 3 parts, we consider it in terms of thesis, antithesis, synthesis, trinity of your choice. Creation, preservation, destruction, father, mother, child, too hot, too cold, just right. And I might throw in E-A-O. Do you see where this is taking us? The more we divide the Great One, the more knowledge and understanding we uncover from the individual parts. But at the same time, we drift farther from the abstract perfection of the One. The ancient Kabbalists delighted in dividing the One in many parts, but the primary, and some say the supreme division, was by 4. And they gave this fourfold deity a 4-letter name, Yod, He, Vav, He. Now we can get into a discussion about when Yod, He, Vav, He first appeared in the Kabbalistic text that we call Genesis. But it's pretty damn late. It's pretty damn late. It's not the Yod He Vav He wasn't the God that created the heavens and earth. Yod He Vav He wasn't the one that created Adam and Eve. Yod He Vav He wasn't the one that did all of those stories. It's right up to the time of the Exodus story, when Moses was leading the children of Israel, which are people, literal children, descendants of Jacob, Israel, out of Egypt. And the big miracle that parted the Red Sea, okay? That was Yod He Vav He. That's where he first appears. But I digress. more than anything else, Yod He Vav He is 4. And it's a 4 that only uses 3 letters. One of them is repeated, making it special, that final He. But that's another story. Okay. That building over there is one building with 4 floors. So let's go inside and see what one looks like when it's divided into 4 parts. Scene 1 is the furniture room of a warehouse, furniture warehouse showroom. And the rabbi walks over to a huge overstuffed chair. There's chairs of every description, every size, every bench, stools, pews, bean bags. Okay, there's every chair of every kind of description. And the rabbi goes over and sits in a big, huge, overstuffed chair. Ah, this is what I need. We're in the chair division of the material universe. There's lots of other divisions, too. In fact, there's a section on this floor for absolutely everything in the phenomenal material universe, including you and me. A table section, a tree section, a canned soup section, section for small vibrating appliances. That one's been growing. Let's see, a section for solar systems and galaxies. All right here on floor 1. Kabbalists call this world Assiah, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Okay. The material plane. It's the lowest of the 4 Kabbalistic worlds and is represented by the final letter He in the great name. And remember, that's the special letter. It may be the lowest letter, but it's special because it's the repeated one. Does that mean that the material plane is special too? But back to these chairs. Where do they come from? You might answer that the wood comes from trees and the nails come from raw metal and the wood coverings come from, or the wool coverings come from sheep. But you'd be wrong, because all you're really saying is that the wood comes from the tree section of this floor and the nails come from the metal section of this first floor, and the wool from the sheep division and of the material plane. That being said, where on earth do these chairs come from? The fact is, nothing on this floor comes from earth at all. These chairs and everything else in the phenomenal universe only manifest here in this special world, okay? And the rabbi gets up, struggles up out of his chair, which I identify with, and he goes over to the elevator, and he opens the elevator and gets in and presses floor 2. And the button says floor 2, Vav, Yetzirah. And the location for this scene is the blueprint room. The elevator door opens to reveal a room where hundreds of blueprints are hung by invisible wires. The room is filled with people in white, short-sleeved shirts, loud ties, and black slacks. They have pocket protectors and wear dark-rimmed glasses, some broken and taped at the bridge. Many are holding pencils, pens, T-squares, compasses, protractors, and other mechanical drawing instruments. I think if I would have written this in this day and age, it would have been computers with design programs on it. So they could, instead of actually using paper to draw blueprints, they'd be drawing it on their computer screen. But I digress. How could have I predicted it way in the future? They're all engaged in animated conversations, making broad gestures with their hands as they talk. And here's the rabbi talking, and he says, "These nerds are angels." And the rabbi's interrupted for a moment by juvenile squeals and wild, irritating laughter from one of the nerds. The rabbi continues, "They're quite low on the hierarchical scale, actually, but they're hard workers and smart as whips. We are one floor up and directly above the chair area of Assiah, the world of final hay, yes. This place is Yetzirah, the world of Vav. It's called the formative world, and these angels are hard at work putting the final touches on the blueprints for all those chairs down there. They can't actually make the chairs up here because this is the world of thought, not matter." And the camera pans to a group of nerds gathered around a slide projector, projecting photos of their chairs on the screen. Excited applause and more irritating laughter. This level of creation is the mind's eye. Absolutely everything tangible or intangible that is conceived of in the mind is formed here in Yetzirah. Artists who know what their paintings should look like before they start painting. Composers who can hear their own music in their minds before it is played. Grandmas who know in July what the Thanksgiving table should look like. All are communicating directly with the angels on this floor. But smart as they are, these guys need inspiration, direction from a higher consciousness. They must take their orders from someplace else. And so the rabbi gets back into the elevator and goes one floor up. Floor 3, hay, Briah. Or as I always joke, Bria, the world of soft cheeses, okay? Scene 6, location is the shower stall of Thomas Edison's bathroom. The room's very steamy. A subtitle appears on the screen. Thomas Edison's bathroom, 1877. You hear the sound of running water and the voice of Thomas Edison singing, "You light up my life." A man with a hat like this sang that for you. The rabbi, in a hushed voice, narrates, "The person in the shower isn't really Thomas Edison. Actually, he's an angel. A very high angel, really. For our purpose, we can even call him an archangel. The reason we find him in the likeness of Edison and taking a nice shower in the great inventor's bathroom is to help us illustrate something about this Kabbalistic world, the world of Bria, the creative world. Now, Edison didn't invent the chair, but he did invent or improve upon an unbelievable number of things that brought revolutionary change to the world. The light bulb, the phonograph, the motion picture, to name a few. There's no doubt about it, the man was a genius. But we might ask, how could one man possibly invent all those things? Where did he get the time? Let's watch for a few moments. Suddenly the singing stops and the water is turned off, and then there's silence for a second. Then Edison shouts, "Yes!" Edison opens the door to the shower stall, steps out in a cloud of steam. He dances excitedly, naked before a large steamed-over mirror in front of the sink. Edison says, "Yes, yes, they'll love it. They'll absolutely love it. We'll make millions, millions. Mary, send for Clifford, my chief engineer. Get him in here right now." The rabbi says, "Actually, we don't know if Clifford was the name of Edison's chief engineer. For our purposes, it doesn't really matter, so I named him after my father." Edison's chief engineer timidly enters the bathroom. He's wearing the same exact outfit as the nerd angels downstairs in Yetzirah. Edison goes to the steamed-over mirror and begins to draw things on the mirror with his finger. "Clifford, I've invented a machine that can record and play back sounds. Voices, music, body noises, anything." Edison outlines a crude cylinder on the mirror. His finger makes a squeaking sound as it rubs on the glass. Hear that? You know how things make a sound when you rub them together or scratch them? Well, we make a rubby, scratchy thing out of a rotating cylinder or something, you see? And then you connect it to something else. I don't know what, something that we could somehow hook up to that telephone diaphragm we made. Or actually, we stole from Alexander Graham Bell. But anyway. See? Then somehow you get the rubby, scratchy vibrations to scratch up the rubby, scratchy thing. Then all we have to do is figure out how to rub those scratches with something else, then maybe run the scratchy vibrations along to another diaphragm or something, so we can replay the same kind of rubby, scratchy noise that made the scratches on the rubby, scratchy thing in the first place. See? Clifford scratches his head. Then, you'll love this. Edison draws a large cone on the mirror. Okay, I've even got a diagram here in the book. It looks something like that. Now, I'm not exaggerating. A lot of Edison's drawings look pretty much like that. Big noise comes out here. Okay. Let's see. And the rabbi says, let's just take a look at that mirror. All we see is a crude cylinder, two squiggly lines, and something that looks like a box, and a cone resting on its side with an arrow pointing at the large end with the words, "Big noise comes out here." Then Edison continues to talk to Clifford. "I call it the phonograph. Run along now, tidy up the details. I want to see a working model here by the weekend. I'm going fishing with Hank Ford and Wilbur Wright. There's a good fellow." The rabbi now talks. Now, I'm not sure that's exactly what happened when the phonograph was invented. But generally speaking, this is how Edison operated. Very often he'd come up with the vaguest of ideas, scribble down a crude drawing and a few notes, then turn it over to a team of well-paid and highly motivated assistants. These angels would then bring Edison's big concept to life by painstakingly inventing all the little devices that would make Edison's inspired big machine work. Edison's ideas, archangelic inspirations, came from the creative world of Briah. His assistants, the angelic executors of the archangelic will, were the workmen in the formative world of Yetzirah, who eventually manifested the inventions on the material plane of Assiah, the first floor of the building. Or more simply, everything in the material world exists as a pattern in the formative world, which has its motivation for being in the creative world. But what's above that? In the highest Kabbalistic world, Atziluth, the world of the Yod, they get into the elevator one more time. Go up to the 4th floor. Yod. Atziluth. See number 8. Cloud-filled, formless world of swirling light and mists. The rabbi steps inside the elevator and holds the door open as the cameras enters the mist. Ambient music is playing. Kenny G or something corny like that, okay? Within the music, we hear the faint sounds of a man and a woman in unison, making sensuous love sighs. The light pulsates erotically against the undulating clouds, giving the abstract appearance of a man and a woman locked in a writhing embrace. The rabbi. This is Atziluth, the archetypal world. Atziluth could be considered the will of deity in its purest aspect. It's the highest and most perfect of the 4 worlds. In Atziluth, there is no separation of the male and female aspects of deity. They are eternally united in bliss. There's no duality. The remaining 3 worlds are the products of this ecstatic union, and as we've seen, continue to diminish in purity as they descend to the lower floors. But luckily for us, it looks like degenerating energy, but luckily for us, what looks like degenerating energy from the deity's point of view looks like creation itself to us pitiful creatures rooting around down here on the 1st floor. Remember, we're standing 4 floors directly above that lovely lounge chair in this section of the 1st floor, in the chair section. Let's see what deity has on its mind up here. The music lowers and the voices can be heard clearly. Voices never speak separately, but always say their lines in perfect unison. Okay. The deity, male and female aspects locked in ecstatic embrace. Ah, was it good for us? Ooh, yes. It's always and eternally good for us. But we're a bit tired now, aren't we? Wouldn't we like to rest now? Oh, yes, yes. For a moment to pause. Even ecstasy is boring if it never stops. The rabbi whispering, well, things are pretty vaporous up here in the archetypal world. Up here in Atziluth, there are no forms or images, just pure conscious energy, a dynamo of bliss. But it sounds like even this dynamo needs to kick back and relax on occasion, if only to experience within itself the pulse of an expanding and contracting creation cycle. Of course, in other sections of this floor, deity is germinating other nebulous desires that will eventually manifest on the first floor of Assiah as absolutely everything in the phenomenal universe. But right here in this section of Atziluth, 3 levels above the chairs in the material world, the vague desire for rest is unique to this particular section of the deity's consciousness. Oh, listen, I think a divine impulse from the Atzilic deity is about to inspire the Thomas Edison Archangel of Chairs 1 floor down in Briah. And the voices rise in ecstatic crescendo of, yes, rest, yes, rest, yes, rest, rest, rest. And then you cut back to Thomas Edison's bathroom. Edison looks at himself in the mirror. Heaves a heavy sigh, squats, and attempts to sit when there's nothing to sit upon. And he tumbles to the floor. Strains of celestial music are heard. For a moment, a great light appears above Thomas Edison's head. He looks up, becomes inspired with the universal concept of rest, then realizes the immediate need for a device for people to sit on. He shouts, "Clifford, get in here!" The archangelic intelligence of Briah then communicates a broad concept of seating devices to the detail-loving angel nerds in Yetzirah. Down in the blueprint room, Clifford hurriedly distributes memos to the nerd angels. Much juvenile squealing and wildly irritating laughter is heard. Then back down to the first floor, the furniture warehouse showroom, and the rabbi is back in his seat comfortably in an easy chair and says, who finally manages to inspire someone down here in Assiah to quit daydreaming about things and get off their rear ends and actually construct a chair of his or her dreams. Now, from his easy chair, the rabbi uses a pointer to indicate the Hebrew letters Yod He Vav He on a nearby blackboard. Yod He Vav He is the fourfold creative process. It is the formula by which the pure consciousness of deity, Yod, descends into matter, the He final. From our point of view down here in Assiah, it appears like the wonder of creation. You might think that from the deity's point of view, this creative process appears to be a depressing degeneration of energy and power. But I don't think it's the case. Remember the 3rd command rant. There really isn't a creation, time or space, heaven or earth, because the ultimate reality resides not in Assiah, or Yetzirah, or Briah, but right here in Yodland. And he points to the Yod. Atziluth, the environment of pure and infinite consciousness, infinite bliss. The other worlds are as unreal as your shadow. Assiah is like looking at the sun with 3 pairs of sunglasses. That's the material world. The material world is just the heaviest, slowest, grossest aspect of the divine light. You take off 1 pair of sunglasses, you see more in Yetzirah. Take off another pair of sunglasses, and Briah is much brighter, but then the rabbi removes the last pair of sunglasses. But those three worlds are just the distorted images of the real thing. And that's a little review of that. I'm sure many of you have heard that before, and if not, the Chicken Kabbalah. I think the Chicken Kabbalah is coming out in a new anniversary editions pretty soon. If you already have one of these, you'll probably enjoy the new material. And if you have one of those, it's probably dog-eared from use and abuse. Anyway, that's it. I've gone way over, and I didn't think I was going to even start. Anyway, that's it today for the order of Monday morning. We'll see you tomorrow, probably from a parking lot of some kind, because Carla got fixed. Okay. So until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love's the law, love under will.